Hi, thanks so much for joining me. I'm grateful for you for tuning in to this short presentation. And today it's going to be what I call the freezer in the fridge. My name's Linnea Baker. I am a board certified family nurse practitioner, and I am grateful to be here and for each of you for tuning in. So, what does our body use for energy? There's only two things our body uses to quote unquote burn as energy, and that's sugar and fat. That's all there is. Sugar and fat is what our body uses for energy. And if we want to burn fat, which most of us do, right? I know if you're like me, I since the 80s when I was younger, I grew up in a health gym. And I remember the cardio, like on the stair steppers and stuff, they say fat burning zone and cardio burning zone. So if you want to burn fat, actually, you can only burn fat as fuel only after your sugar stores are depleted. All right. There's a system in place, and that's what I'm going to share with you guys today. And so when we think of this analogy, or when we think of this energy source as sugar and fat, a great analogy that I've heard through several resources and references is relating it to a refrigerator and storing in the basement freezer. Okay. And so for me, I don't have a basement. I have a garage long-term storage freezer, a big freezer in the garage. So for me, it's going to the garage to that freezer. But a lot of people will have their storage freezers in the basement, like my in-laws did. And I just think it's a great way to visualize it when I'm talking about where we're getting our energy sources from. So that'll give you a little bit of visualization, okay? So the freezer and the fridge, and I'm going to explain how our body relates to this. So when we think of our body fat, I want you to relate that to the freezer in the basement. Because just like the freezer in the basement, our body fat is designed for long-term storage and it's more difficult to access, okay? When we think of our sugar stores in our body, think of the refrigerator. Our bodies, sorry about that. Our bodies are burning sugar first as energy. It prefers to burn sugar first as energy. And why is that? Because it's easier to access the fridge in my kitchen to get the glucose energy than it is to go all the way to the basement freezer and walk down the stairs and access the fat. So we want what's easy. The energy stores in the fridge are quick. We grab them. And as long as there's still food in the fridge, which is our glucose, our sugar, as long as that's still available, guess what? We won't go to the freezer down in the basement. So in other words, we're not going to burn our body fat as energy when we still have sugar sources available to burn as energy, because it takes more work to access the fat storage. So we're going to go with what's easier, and that's the glucose or sugar storage. Remember, though, our fridge space is limited compared to the big basement storage freezer where we have a lot more storage. So fridge space is limited. So what happens to the food we eat? There's three macronutrient food groups that we talk about, and that's proteins, fats, and carbs, all right? And our body can store two of these three for energy to use at a later time. So we can store the carbohydrates and we can store the fats. So the carbs and fats are able to be stored as energy to use later, but we can't store protein. So any protein we eat in excess that can't be used right away, our body actually converts that protein to glucose or the sugar. So where do we store this glucose that's so easy to access? So our bodies store the glucose or sugar as glycogen in our liver. And there is a max amount that the liver can actually handle. So there is a limit to that. And after the liver is maxed out or the glycogen stores are full, then we store the excess glucose or sugar as body fat. You see where I'm going with this? When we eat fat, that fat goes right into the bloodstream and doesn't even have to go through the liver. We use what we need that we ate. We eat the fat or food that's got fats in it. We eat it. And we use the energy we need at the time, and any excess fat we're going to actually store as body fat. So this is where it gets tricky, because a lot of you are going to be sitting there going, oh, so I shouldn't eat foods that are fat, right, Linnea? I should eat lower fat. And that's actually wrong. And that's why we had, when we talked about calories in, calories out, the USDA recommended a low fat, low calorie diet in the past. And we debunked that. It doesn't work. And that's because where your body stores the energy does not determine your weight. I know your head's exploding. My head's been exploding because I knew all along it didn't make sense and there's a better way and other things worked better. But now I know the why, and you know I'm a why girl. And I know you guys are like, my head's exploding. What? And I'm like, just stay with me, guys. Okay. Just follow me. Where we store the energy doesn't determine our weight. Okay. That's why the low fat, low calorie diets don't work. Okay. And the other thing to mention is that not all fat is equal. We have healthy fats and unhealthy fats. For instance, if you eat some pistachio nuts or use some olive oil, that's a healthy fat versus vegetable oil would be an unhealthy fat. Okay. So there are good sources of fat and there are not so good sources of fat. Okay. And we can go through that another day and break that down for you. So in summary, we store the excess glucose, which is our sugar, and we store the excess fat for energy to be used at a later time. And if we have excess protein that we didn't need to use right away, we turn that into glucose because we cannot store protein. We use glucose as our immediate energy. We take the excess glucose and store that as glycogen for intermediate energy. And the fat stores are our long-term energy storage. We debunk the calorie in, calorie out method for weight loss because that assumes that all calories are the same and readily available to be burned as energy. And remember, things are not all readily available to be burned as energy. There's a system in place. We now can see that burning energy is from different available stores, right? So depending, we're going to burn sugar versus fat, and we're going to turn protein into sugar. Okay, so we know that we kind of threw out the calories in, calories out method because all calories are not created equal, and our energy is stored in different places and used at different times, whether it's short-term, intermediate, or long-term energy storage. And we know that we can burn sugar or fat, but we can't do both at the same time. Okay, there's a system in place. We can burn them both, but not at the same time. And there's a process to that. We're going to get into that. So some of why this works this way and some of the missing link is going to be when we talk about insulin next week. We're going to tie it all together because it's so important to understand how insulin works in order to understand how our bodies are operating and accessing our energy stores. And when you know this, you're going to understand even more why the calorie in, calorie out method doesn't work. And it has a 99.2% failure rate. If you didn't watch that video on the calories in, calories out, the debunking CICO is calories in, calories out. If you didn't watch that, then go ahead. That's a good one to watch before we do our next topic on insulin. So if you're just jumping on and catching this video, go back and watch the short video on debunking calories in, calories out so that you're ready for the insulin video that we will talk about next topic. Remember, guys, my mission is to positively impact your health and wellness through education and coaching in order to create generational health. That's my passion. That's my mission. That's why I'm here. So if you're frustrated with your current health, if you're looking for a holistic, healthy lifestyle, if you're wanting help to create a personalized, healthier lifestyle, then just private message me or comment below and we can schedule a free health consult with me and go over things to see some things that I might recommend to help you attain that healthier lifestyle. And it's easy. And I have lots of tools that work that I can help you with. Okay. Until next time, guys, I am grateful for you and you guys all take care. Thanks so much for being with me and supporting my educational videos. I'm grateful for you guys.